I used to get called ugly so much that it would ruin my day. And I went through my mom's stuff. She had like pedicure tools and stuff. So she had like these things, little sharp objects, and I was just kind of crying in the mirror and stuff. And I was like cutting into my skin. These hairs right here don't grow back normally because I was trying to cut my face open. I've never told anyone, not even like TikTok is the first person to learn about that shit. But anyways, like I just hated being ugly. I hated that my friends were being talked to, and I was just like chopped liver. So fast forward to like, an adult, and people tell me, hey, at least you got your height. Like that's a consolation prize. Like, hey, at least you're tall. You might not have your looks. As a matter of fact, one of the jobs I applied for, which is like a very high-end place, they said I have the mind, but I don't have the look.
One of the most haunting things about being an ugly girl in corporate spaces or just workspaces in general is when I was so welcome to be part of the labor, but never welcome to be part of the face, part of the pride, right? Part of what was to be shown off. And this happened a lot in anywhere that you could imagine showing up doing labor, whether that's in a relationship, but mostly I'm talking about in the context of work. Being an ugly corporate girl was absolutely horrendous, especially in this body, right? Because I'm a black girl and I'm a big girl. So whenever I said things that were, when I was being passionate, it always came off as me having an attitude. People had no idea, no problem taking my ideas, but they had all the problem in the world with giving me the credit for them, letting me be the face of it, letting me be the pilot of it. And a lot of times what was manipulative about that was that they gave me the idea that I would be. It would be, because once you close this, that's going to set you up for X, Y, Z. Kind of like dangling a carrot in front of me. However, much like the relationships that I was in prior with men and women, the people that I was with had no intention on being committed to me or me being of mutual benefit to my labor. And that's why I make a lot of these videos, because a lot of y'all don't understand that being in that uglified category makes you essentially the prey to a very predatory concept.
Some people walk into a room and almost immediately people respond well to them. Nobody says it directly, but you can feel it. They are welcomed faster, noticed faster, and given a kind of social ease before they have really done anything. Other people do not get that. They get overlooked, sometimes judged too quickly, sometimes misunderstood before they have had a fair shot to show who they are. And when that happens often, it changes you. After a while, you stop assuming that just being there will be enough. You start figuring out what else you can offer. Maybe you get funnier, maybe you get sharper, maybe you become better at reading people, carrying conversations, making others feel comfortable, and becoming useful in ways that make you harder to ignore. Not because that was always your plan, but because life quietly taught you that presence alone was not going to carry you. And that is where this topic gets deeper, because when looks do not open the door for you, personality usually has to.
I am so grateful that I grew up kind of ugly. Like back in grade school, I was in between a rock and a hard place. And as a result, I had to develop other skills besides my looks. And now in adulthood, my looks just so happen to be the least interesting thing about me. The least. And I often think, like, if I only had to rely on my looks, I would be a sad case. Some of the weirdest comments I get under my posts have to do with like my looks. Like someone would be like, "Oh my God, you are so beautiful." And I will be talking about the most random thing. This is not a beauty makeup influencer account. In fact, I rarely wear makeup on this account. But I will always have somebody commenting on my looks, saying something like, "Oh my God, I like your teeth. Do you know how long I was in braces and Invisalign? Do you know how many appliances I had to wear to get my jaw like this?" But I promise you, it's the least interesting thing about me. There's so much going on up here. So much going on. If I were to just focus on how I looked, that would be such a sad life. And I'm dead ass serious right now. It would be such a sad, and I know people do it all the time, but it would just be depressing for me.
Confidence is everything because energy transcends looks. You could be pretty, you could be handsome. If you don't have confidence, the world will treat you like you're ugly. I'm telling you right now. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. That's just how it is. People are always looking to assess who's weaker and who's stronger in any given situation. People are always looking to assess who has the power and who doesn't. So if you lack confidence and people sense that about you, and people will sense that about you, they're going to give you scraps. They're going to give you the bare minimum because your energy is showing that you're going to take it. And if you do take it, that's just going to reinforce it. And I'm not going to sit here and be disingenuous and say that looks don't matter, because they definitely do. Pretty privilege does exist. It's a very real thing. But there are things that you could do to combat that. I've seen people who are not all that attractive get treated like royalty because they had the confidence. They came in there like, you ain't going to tell me nothing. You ain't going to tell me what's what. You can't tell me about myself. I've seen people with beautiful features, gorgeous features, but they're treated like crap because they're very, meek, and they're very timid, or sadly, like, they kind of feel awkward in social situations, and that means that they have a creepy demeanor. So then people don't even see their attractiveness because, again, their energy is what's coming through. So what do you do about it? Two things. You improve your appearance where you can, because some things you can change and some things you can't. And you learn how to project confidence even when you don't feel it. Personally, I think for at least the majority of people, it's not that they're ugly, it's that they're frumpy. Do you dress well? If you don't know, get somebody honest to tell you. If you get a lot of compliments on how you dress, that's a clue that you dress well, because if you dress exceptionally nice, people will almost feel compelled to tell you. If you wear glasses, do you have an updated nice pair of glasses, or did you just get like the cheapest thing from Walmart or a department store? Now, some people, that's all they can afford, but for glasses wearers, I see this all the time. Glasses will make or break your look. Are you well groomed? Or do you have a nice haircut? Do you have a flattering hairstyle? That sort of thing. If you're a man and you have facial hair, is it nicely trimmed and shaped, or is it scraggly? If you're a woman, are your eyebrows done? Are you good at doing your makeup? Stuff like that. Next thing, confidence. Get it out of your head that you're ugly. Okay? Do not insult yourself by saying stuff like this to yourself, because that is going to impact your confidence. It's going to impact, and the way you talk to yourself on the inside, you're going to see it reflected in how others talk to you, because like I keep saying, your energy is going to exude. If you exude the type of energy that you're the type that looks down on themselves, people will look down on you too. And even if you don't feel super confident, a good way to is body language. Learn to have confident body language. Speak clearly and firmly and confidently when you have something to say. Assert yourself anytime someone messes with you. You can do it calmly, but you have to do it quickly. Otherwise, people will get the idea that they could talk to you with disrespect. And speak up. Don't be afraid to say your true opinion. Don't be afraid to stand out from the crowd sometimes when you think it's what's right. And don't be afraid to let your voice be heard. I hope this helps. Keep your head up.
Growing up, I was not the finest, that's okay. But you know what that taught me? It taught me not to depend on my looks, because it could only get me so far. So instead, I gained a personality. Now I can make you laugh. I'm funny. I learned how to be industrious, because look, if you don't have looks in this world, we will struggle, but it's okay. It's okay. So I learned how to work hard. I learned not to depend on what I look like, because, my dear, I wasn't looking like much. But what ended up happening was I glowed up.
This is how a lot of people get shaped. The person who was never the obvious favorite often becomes more observant. They pay attention, they learn timing, they learn how people work, they figure out what makes others laugh, what makes conversations move, what makes them easier to be around, and over time, that can turn into real charm, real emotional intelligence, and real depth. A lot of people who were not handed easy attention end up becoming the person everyone depends on. The one who lightens the mood, the one who gives solid advice, the one who works harder, the one who becomes interesting because they had to build what others were getting for free. And people often praise that by saying, You've got such a good personality. Sometimes that is simply true, but sometimes what they are looking at is adaptation. Someone who learned early that being present was not enough by itself. Someone who had to build confidence piece by piece. Someone who had to become memorable because being noticed was never guaranteed. Once you say it this way, a lot of social roles start to make more sense. But here is the part people do not usually say out loud. What we call personality is not always something that grew naturally in a soft, healthy way. Sometimes it was built under pressure. Humor can become a shield. Intelligence can become a way people stay relevant. Being nice can come from learning that being direct or bold was never rewarded. Even being useful all the time can come from a fear that if you are not offering something, people will stop seeing you. This is the darker side of it. From the outside, it may look like confidence, maturity, or depth, but underneath it, there may have been years of rejection, self-correction, and trying to figure out how to survive socially. That does not make it fake, but it does mean it cost something. Some people were never really allowed to just exist and be enough. They had to become impressive before they were taken seriously.
I would get called ugly like every day when I was in school. And honestly, rightfully so. I would go to school with like an absolute chopped haircut, goofy glasses. I would wear Sperry's with cargo shorts. And then I would wear like these random ugly shirts from Marshalls. So people would make fun of me a lot. Now, did it really affect me in a way where I was like sad? No. However, when I did get a glow up, when I did start to, dress a bit differently, I had styled my hair differently. I just started to change. I was around 16, 17. A lot of people started to treat me differently. And what this made me realize is just how superficial human beings can be. Like, I don't know if you ever met someone that's a complete asshole to other people, but they're really cool with you. That's how a lot of people are. And I just realized, these people are honestly just, there's no point of having these people around in your life. And a lot of you guys kind of don't realize this. You have a lot of yes men. You have a lot of people that they might respect you because of a position that you have at work, or you might have some money, or you're attractive, or whatever it may be. However, these people, if you didn't have these things, would never look at you that way. And you have to be super, 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 reserved in sharing your time and energy with people. And you have to be wise about this. This is a big issue I had when I was younger, because I kind of was like, I let it get to my head. Because I never had experienced people giving me attention and people, liking me and trying to talk to me. But then I realized, these people at the end of the day, if I wasn't so quote unquote, an attractive person, I'm not trying to make this video to talk about myself. I'm trying to just like point out the hypocrisy. It's like if I didn't have what I have now, you guys wouldn't want to talk to me. And there's very few people that genuinely just care about you to care about you, like your family, some close friends. You got to keep these people close and treat them, in a very amazing way, because all these people at the end of the day, they're not going to be there for you. They're not going to give you food. They're not going to feed you. They don't care. They kind of just want to like mentally put you in a box, like, okay, you're desirable, you're undesirable. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all going to die. That whole mentality, I think, is stupid. And treat everyone with respect, because you never know. You never know who the next person that you talk to might be. They could be the president of the United States for all I know. So treat people nicely, bro. We're all human beings. No one's better than anybody. Just live life with good intentions. Take care of others. Take care of yourself and your family. And things will work themselves out. And you'll feel fulfilled. This is something many of y'all lack: fulfillment. You will love your life once you start to feel fulfilled.
Exactly how do people start treating you differently after weight loss? For reference, I've lost over 135 pounds. For one, in public spaces, I was pretty much invisible. People would not come up and talk to me. People would not make small talk with me. I never really had strangers approach me to have a conversation with me until I lost weight. And actually, it happens all the time now. Pretty much every time I step outside, there are strangers having random small talk with me. Number two, this pertains to other women, but I feel like in a bigger body, other women were so nice to me, and now they're not as nice to me. They give me dirty looks or look at me up and down, and girls are just not nice to me anymore. any place of business, I get better customer service. When it comes to dating, I feel like even as a big girl, I was beautiful. I had guys after me, but now it's different. It's different. But the problem is, now I'm not interested. Last thing, opening doors. People don't believe me when I tell them I really didn't get my door open for me a lot when I was bigger. And I only really notice it now. I don't touch a door if there's a man around. But before, I was probably opening the door for myself half the time.
And this is where it gets complicated, because what starts as adaptation can become real strength. A lot of the most interesting people you meet were not shaped by easy acceptance. They were shaped by paying attention, by discomfort, by learning how to read a room, by figuring out how to connect, by learning how to carry disappointment without letting it swallow them whole. That is why some people who were overlooked early on become incredibly magnetic later in life. Not because the world was especially kind to them, but because they were pushed to develop parts of themselves that easy privilege never really demanded. That does not mean pain is a gift. It does not mean rejection is something to celebrate. It means being overlooked does not mean there is nothing there. Sometimes it means the opposite. Sometimes the people who were not chosen first are the ones who end up with the strongest presence in the long run. And yes, presentation still matters. Of course it does. Take care of yourself. Improve what you can. Your style, your grooming, your fitness, your posture, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, all of that matters. But your biggest edge may not be your appearance at all. It may be what you built in response to not being handed easy acceptance.
Even if you're a 4 out of 10, you should still be using your looks to your advantage. Let me tell you what I mean. So I'm a personal stylist, and I have been for 8 years. Okay, here's the thing. Whether you are starting off, like when you wake up in the morning at a 10, a 8, a 6, a 4, a 3, whatever you're starting at as your base, you should be bumped up by the time you step out the door. The problem is, I really think that people they're really lost when it comes to how to look better and how looking better affects everything. It does not matter if you're a man or a woman, it affects everything. Now, when you're a man and you're a woman, looking better is made up of different categories, and we can get into that later, but you have control over a lot of them. For men, smelling amazing, looking clean, knowing how to dress will almost take you like 4, 5, 6 if you're good about it, notches up. So let's say you're a man and on day to day, you're a 4. You're a 4. You're a little bit below average. If you were to literally work out 3 times a week, connect with someone who's going to help you get your style together, throw out the dusty clothes I've seen in these closets, get a scent. Get a couple of scents that are amazing and change your hair and beard game. You shot up. But unfortunately, most people think that you have to be born with it or go get surgery. Not the case. Same thing with women. With women, you also can learn how to do your makeup. Learn what hairstyles actually accent you. Instead of choosing the hairstyle that you like to look at, that is your favorite, pick things that like you back. That is y'all's problem.
If you grew up unattractive, that is the biggest blessing in disguise that you could have. Why? From first-hand experience, I can tell you, when you grow up chopped, you will learn life in a different manner than if you were always given praise, you were always given compliments, you were showered with an abundance of nice words. You become more appreciative for starters, but more importantly, the potential you have, if you live up to it, if you lock in now and make the most out of your genetics, you learn a level of discipline that no amount of money, no amount of anything can ever teach you. And I speak about this from experience. I grew up really ugly. That's the only way I can elaborate on it. I used to be very unattractive. I learned so much about life, and that was used as fuel to bring me to the position that I am now, where I model full time.
So if I can do it, why can you not? What is stopping you? The only thing that can stop you is what's in here, your mind. If your mind is not on your own side, everything will fall apart. Your mind is meant to be your biggest support. Your mind is meant to be what makes this possible. But if your mind is constantly fighting against you, if you have become accustomed to your mind telling itself, I can stay in bed for an extra hour today, I don't have to wake up early, oh, it's really nice and warm in my bed, etc., then you're not going to make it happen until you can beat your mind. This will not be possible.
And maybe that is the part society misses. Some people are allowed to be attractive and let that do a lot of the work for them. Other people have to become memorable. They have to develop humor, resilience, emotional sharpness, perspective, presence, something deeper that makes people stay once the first impression passes. And yes, that is unfair, but it is also where different kind of power can come from. Because remember, in every kind of weakness, you can find strength. In a world obsessed with surface, the people who were forced to build substance often end up carrying something more durable than attention. They carry depth. So yes, being overlooked can hurt. It can leave marks. It can make people question themselves in ways they should never have had to. But it can also shape them into people with range, insight, and a kind of presence that is much harder to fake. Some people are admired immediately, others take longer to be understood. Very often, the people who were underestimated at the beginning become the ones nobody forgets. That is the ugly truth. Do you think being overlooked pushes people to build stronger personalities? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and share with us your experience, and remember to subscribe to The Ugly Truth for more honest commentary on beauty, bias, and reality.